Have you ever had a client who has this massive breakthrough in a session, right? And you just leave like on top of the world? They feel on top of the world. Everything is different. And then 2 weeks later, 1 week later, days later, they're back to the same pattern. They're back to the same behavior that they thought they had a huge breakthrough on. And now they're frustrated, you're frustrated, and everyone's starting to wonder and question, is the work actually working? This is, if you have experienced this, one of the most frustrating pieces about being a coach, a practitioner, a guide. And what I want to dive into today in this video is there is nothing wrong with your coaching. Your client is not uncommitted. There's not something wrong with them, not because they're not ready. And while it can be extremely frustrating, simply because their nervous system has never actually learned how to change and how to hold the shift. So if you're new here, welcome. I am Courtni Allison. I am the founder of Catalyst Somatics, and I am a nervous system and somatics coach. I train coaches and practitioners in nervous system, body-based transformation, really at the identity cellular level. And this topic of why change doesn't stick. Why do my clients keep reverting, and myself keep reverting back to old patterns, is one of the most important conversations that we can be having in the healing, the coaching, and the transformation world. So I want to start this by really honing in on this very important realization is your clients' patterns are not flaws, right? And we get so caught up in the breakthroughs and the awareness and trying to fix and change all of these things. But these patterns are not flaws. They're simply protection that our nervous system, that our body has learned over the years. Most of the patterns that your clients are trying to change, right? Maybe people pleasing or overworking, hiding and holding back, self-abandoning, maybe control, avoiding, numbing, all of these things, overthinking. They weren't created because just magically there's something wrong with them. They were created by their innate intelligence, right? Their body, their nervous system. It was created at some point because it was a strategy that was able to keep them safe. And the part that a lot of coaches and even the client forget is these patterns have been living inside of them, and they have been embodying and living out these patterns for probably decades. When a client says, why do I keep going back? Why do I keep reverting? Why does this keep happening? The real answer at the very deepest level is that your nervous system right now simply trusts kind of this old map, this old way of living. It has been so deeply ingrained and embodied that it trusts that more than it might trust the new one. Even if there was this huge breakthrough, this big release, this big aha, the body and the nervous system is still going to revert back to what it's familiar with, what it is known for all of these years. So I recently had a dear client come to me, and we'd been working together for a little bit of time, and she came to me and she was so frustrated with herself. She's like, I'm getting so mad at myself because I think I have this huge, breakthrough and aha, and I know I can see the pattern, I see what's going on, and yet I keep going back to it. And she was getting so mad at herself because she wants to change it so badly. And I was like, babe, it is okay. Number one, you have to have a lot of grace and compassion on yourself because this is a very deeply ingrained pattern of you, right? She's 38 years old. I'm like, you've been living out this wiring inside of your body, inside of your nervous system for who knows, 35 years, 36 years, right? Whenever she learned it, because it's something that she learned in her childhood. And I was like, you've got to have a lot of grace and compassion on yourself, right? You've been embodying this for many years. And so it's going to take you embodying the new pattern for it to really land and sink into your body, right? You have to integrate the new behavior, the new pattern. on the body level, not just up here in the head, right? And when we really talked through it, she was like, oh, okay, I get it, right? And a lot of the frustration with herself subsided. This is what I want you to understand is your nervous system is like a homeostasis machine, right? It is always trying to return us back to this is familiar, what is predictable, what is known, what is always been, okay? And that is a lot of times what it deems as safe. Even if the safe is painful, even if the familiar is something we don't really like about ourselves, it's still going to revert back to that, right? And so your client will continue looping in these same patterns because it's familiar and it's what was built as a way to protect itself. And so the loop itself will not shift until it's interrupted with something new that it can start to feel safe around. Here's the really important thing is seeing the pattern, the awareness. Yes, that is a very important step, right? This is where we get the breakthroughs. But that does not change the pattern alone. The only thing that actually shifts the pattern, rewires the nervous system, is giving the body a new lived, felt experience the moment that pattern is maybe seen or felt or activated. Yes, we can journal about it. We can see it for what it is. We can talk about it with other people, analyze it, give ourselves little affirmations. Yes, absolutely, right? Awareness is the first step to what is even going on inside of us. Meeting that pattern in the moment differently inside the body as we're experiencing it, okay? The nervous system doesn't just learn through language, through speaking it out. It learns through a new felt experience of maybe that pattern. This is really like the core piece of this conversation is a lot of breakthroughs that maybe we have in coaching sessions or emotional release sessions or, whatever they are. A lot of times it's just because we're put into like a different state change, right? And this is when someone maybe touches on like this awareness, right? A new truth, a new possibility. And this is what makes breakthrough so like awe-inspiring and just like so exciting. But in that, the nervous system isn't actually learning, oh, this is a new way of being, right? It's not learning how to actually live and integrate this new pattern. What you'll see happen is your clients will maybe expand, they'll feel open, they'll feel free or different. And maybe for a few days, they make some changes. And then that's when they revert, right? It's like, oh, and then they go back to an old pattern. Like, why is that? Well, the nervous system starts to say, wait, this is new. This is what is going on here, right? This is maybe too much, right? They start to make too many changes. Or the nervous system will say, this is unfamiliar. This is not safe. And then it contracts them, right? It pulls them back to that old identity because that's what's known. That's what's familiar. They didn't revert because they're not committed enough. They're not good enough. They failed. They revert because their nervous system wasn't actually prepped and ready to expand, right? This capacity to grow with the breakthrough. But what I really want you to understand is where transformation really, really happens. It doesn't happen in these big moments and these breakthroughs that like we're sometimes trying to get in sessions, right? Like we want our clients to experience these big like, oh. The marker of a truly impactful, transformational leader, coach, practitioner is helping then the clients actually make the change and make the change in the body level. And where this happens is in the hundreds and thousands of little tiny micro moments. These are little gorgeous rewiring opportunities where the pattern activates and maybe the body wants to contract, it wants to go back into this old somatic memory, I call it. And maybe the old protective strategy, the old protective pattern was to run away, to people please, to hide, right? Whatever it is. But instead, because of the awareness, that person, right? And because of understanding how the nervous system works and being able to work somatically with the body, the emotions, maybe your client's able to stay present with what's contracting inside of them. They're able to stay connected. And in that, they maybe can process what's going on and they can choose something new. It's in this real-time experience of choosing something new in the pattern, not in the moment you had the breakthrough, but in the real life, sticky, messy pattern, that it gets rewired. There is no bypassing. There is no shortcut to this. This is true nervous system rewiring work. And there's a very important piece here that's really sneaky. When a client gets mad or frustrated at themselves, they judge themselves, they shame themselves, they attack themselves, right? Kind of like what my client did. Like, I'm getting so mad at myself. Why do I keep doing this? They're literally telling their nervous system, this is unsafe. Me trying to change this about myself is not good. It's not right, right? So that actual feeling, the actual sensations of the frustration, of the shame, of the mad at themselves is only reiterating to their body, to their nervous system, change isn't safe. We have to keep staying in the familiar. And so what a nervous system does in an unsafe pattern, in an unsafe environment, typically something new, is it doubles down on protection. Okay, so self-judgment of ourself doesn't interrupt the pattern. It only reinforces the old pattern as the safe option. And that is always what our system is going to try to find, is what's the safest option here. Compassion, presence, finding a new sense of safety in something new, in the unknown. These are not just like, oh, soft and gooey things. Like, these are actual neurological, physiological, nervous system requirements for true embodied change. And this is where I see a lot of the personal development world missing the mark, is the nervous system is the true core of how we're able to embark on change and transformation. But it learns through felt sense experience, not up here in our head, not cognitive understanding and reading things, right? Our clients don't necessarily need to understand themselves, like, oh, why is this here? And when did this occur? They need to feel and experience themselves differently. They need to feel a new sense of, can I find a new level of safety even when I'm feeling so triggered and activated? Okay, can I find safety and still stay open instead of hiding and running away? Right? Can I stay connected and present? Can I be on the edge, right, and be in an unknown experience, an expansion, and also stay present and regulated in my system? This is really where I see the coaching world, the wellness world, like any sort of humans helping other humans. This is really where we're missing the mark, is a lot of the work that we do with others is designed to create the insights and maybe the big moments and the behaviors and, putting things into action. But it's not necessarily done in a way where we're working with the nervous system capacity. We're working with actually shifting and rewiring the identity of who someone is, what they believe about themselves, what the body feels safe with, right? Creating new integrations, new patterns. Okay, so when we're only focused on breakthroughs, awarenesses, journaling prompts, protocols, we're only doing that in a way that our clients' nervous systems will not be able to hold it and integrate it. Okay, so the holding, the capacity, and the integration is where the real transformation happens. And so this is exactly what I train inside the Embodied Transformation Academy. We train nervous system mastery, actually how to see and understand and help our clients process and change on this nervous system level. Train the somatic processing, how to help them get into their body and start to shift a lot of these patterns on the cellular level. Train embodied facilitation, how to hold space, especially this piece of integration, capacity building, and stabilizing in a new identity. So we don't just teach you how to create big, cathartic breakthroughs. We teach you how to actually be catalysts of change, right? To create change that stays, that lasts. If you're a coach, if you're a healer, a practitioner, a leader, facilitator, and you're tired of seeing your clients just loop back into the same pattern again and again, and you want to really help them change at the deepest level, nervous system work is where it's at. It's where change actually becomes stable, embodied, and permanent. And this is what we train inside the 6-month nervous system training. So if you're interested, the details are below. We are currently enrolling for the next round, and I would love to train you in this work. All right, bye for now.